Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
All right, welcome to another edition of Hobby Quick Hits. And as I've said before, some of these episodes come from your suggestions or feedback. Today's episode is one of those. So thanks to Howard Smiley. He wrote me an email, very nice. And he says, hey, John, can you do a show where you talk about different ways to sell a collection, either by individual card or whole collection? When, where, and who is the best place to sell the collection, all or part of it? And so I thought about it. I'm like, I've talked about selling platforms, but I haven't done an episode like this. I think one of the reasons I haven't done an episode like this is because it's kind of, it's implicating someone leaving the hobby, right? Or getting out or selling the collection. But that's part of, we talk about living and dying being part of life, right? Well, part of the hobby is people coming and going. That's just comes with the territory. And so we shouldn't really avoid that. Maybe you're left an inheritance of cards and you're like, hey, I don't really collect cards. These were my dad's, but I'm going to sell them. I think even to myself, while my son's dabbles in cards, he's not in it in the same respect I am. So, when that day comes, I don't think he's going to keep what he gets left. And, whatever, maybe I'll try to sell before that. I'm just kidding. But, there's a lot of these shows maybe don't talk about, hey, here's what you do, or here's some of your options. And so we're going to tackle this on this episode. Thanks to Howard for the email. That's what led to this show, and I hope it helps not only just Howard, but others out there that may be wondering about it. And I'll have to come up with a title for this episode that sort of conveys that message is, to those that may be looking at that as, something they need to do where they need to move complete inventory. So we're going to get to today's main topic, everything I just talked about. But first, we're going to hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Break. We're going to do our Q&A. We're going to do our hobby news. And then we'll get to this topic that we just talked about.
MojoBreakShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports card to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, John Newman here. Mojo's prices are already great, but to save an additional 10% off anything in their store, use the code QUICKHITS. That's QUICKHITS. Check out the full service store that's open 7 days a week in Santa Clara, California, or the website at mojobreak.com.
Guys, it's Max again from the Sports Card Shop in New Buffalo, Michigan, and I'm back at it again with the weekly releases for the Sports Card Nation podcast. And to start us off, on the 27th, we have 2022 Bowman University Football, 2021 Panini 1 Football, 2021 Panini Phoenix Football H2, 2021-22 Panini Revolution Basketball. And on the 29th, we have 2021-22 Leaf Metal Basketball, 2022 Panini Donruss Baseball, 2021-22 Upper Deck Series 1 Hockey Retail, 2021-22 Upper Deck Series 1 Hockey Retail Tin. And on the 4th, we have 2022 Bowman Baseball Hobby and Jumbo, 2021-22 Panini Court Kings Basketball, 2021 Panini National Treasures Football, 2022 Super Break First Time Card Football, 2021-22 Topps Bundesliga Soccer, 2021 Upper Deck SP Authentic Golf, and finally 2022 Panini Donruss UFC. Have a great rest of your week, guys, and enjoy the podcast.
It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
This may not be the biggest story of the week, but it may be an item that brings a very, very high value. The first ever collegiate trophy or award presented in 1852 to the Harvard rowing squad as they beat Yale in the first ever college competition where a trophy was awarded. It's 2 oars. The winner was presented the trophies, the oars, by General Franklin Pierce. General Franklin Pierce would eventually become President Franklin Pierce. He presented it to Harvard, and in 1852, this was in a Massachusetts house garage or basement, and I believe the parents almost threw it out, but the kids, realizing the significance of it, prevented it from getting thrown away. It now heads to Sotheby's, where it expects to command millions of dollars as the first ever collegiate trophy ever awarded. Sotheby's, also known for selling the Olympic Manifesto, that went for $8.8 million, and the Naismith basketball rules, the originals, that went for $4.3 million. This item is expected to fetch between $3 and $5 million. Speaking of auctions,
wide to the left. Brady looking the other way. Brady going deep down the right sideline for Evans. He makes the catch. He's in for the score.
that was the last touchdown pass thrown by Tom Brady during last year's regular season. Also to Mike Evans, if you know why we're talking about this, the last postseason touchdown pass. That probably won't be his last touchdown pass, but this was the last regular season touchdown pass also to Mike Evans, and Mike Evans promptly went to the stands and handed it to a lady named Janice Green. Then Tom Brady announced his retirement, and Janice Green had what she believed was the last regular season touchdown of Tom Brady. As we know now, Tom Brady has announced he is returning to play football, and with that first touchdown pass in 2022, both the balls, the regular season and that postseason, won't be the last touchdown pass thrown by Tom Brady. Janice Green, Tom Brady's a favorite player, while disappointed about that fact, has decided that she will be auctioning off that ball just the same. Matter of fact, it's up for auction right now, at last check, up to $5,500, but not the same cachet that it would have got had it been the last regular season touchdown thrown by Mr. Brady. Federal agents have made 3 arrests, 2 Michigan brothers, Donald and Mark Henkel, in their 60s, and 1 Florida man, Ray Paparella, I believe he's 50-something, were arrested and charged with mail and wire fraud. One of the Henkel brothers also charged with witness tampering. They operated a fraudulent autograph and memorabilia racket, reportedly for almost 20 years. this affected the sports market, Hollywood actors and actresses, and the music genre. They did false autographs, including on some authentic items. They would put forged signatures on there. They had people working with them to try to prove the provenance. But so who was affected? Art galleries and auction houses here in the States and in London. Some serious charges here. And when you keep in mind these perpetrators' ages, if convicted, that may be it for the rest of their life. And so, again, even though it's not just relegated to the sports card side only, we have some celebrities and music forgeries here too. They're being reported as one of the best forgeries. Very good at doing illegal stuff, but finally the law caught up to them. While we're talking about law and breaking laws, another break-in, gotta have one of those, right? Not a full week without one of those. Unfortunately, this time San Antonio. Boomtown Cards in San Antonio. Smash and grab, and a good percentage of all their sealed wax was heisted from that LCS. And again, we're seeing a lot of these break-ins and burglaries. They're going for that wax, right? Not so much even the graded cards with the serial numbers, but the wax where, it's hard to prove that there's no serial number or anything to prove that, that box of, flawless I have is bought by me or stolen by me, right? It's a box of flawless. And so we're seeing a lot of these criminals try to take, stuff that's valuable, obviously, but where it can't be proven that it was stolen. So, unfortunately, Boomtown, San Antonio was hit pretty hard with this break-in, but they vow to be back and get back on their feet.
You gotta be hard, play tough, be able to grind it out, rush them, crush them, have the guts to get the glory. That's what it takes to be a winner and make it to 1989 starting lineup. Winners like Esiason, Craig, Walker, Singletary, White, Elway, and more to add to your collection. With all new uniforms, poses, and cards for 1989. Each sold separately. Only starting lineup gives you the men who prove they've got what it takes to be a winner.
They're back.
That's right. They're back. Starting lineup figures. Remember those? First by Kenner, then Hasbro bought them out. They are returning after a 14-year hiatus, after 21 years of production, and they were gone. We haven't had them in 14 years. They're coming back. Hasbro bringing them back, and they have a partner for the starting lineups. They have a new logo and a new partner. Guess who the partner is? I'll give you a hint. Fanatics. There you go. Fanatics and Hasbro partnering, teaming up to bring back the starting lineup figures. I believe it'll be all sports, all the four major, and no announcement yet of which guys will be produced. No announcement if we'll see trading cards like we traditionally used to see in these old starting lineups. My guess is we will see Fanatics trading cards in with the new starting lineups. So if you miss starting lineups, you won't be missing them for long. They're back.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
All right. Another question this week from Ed Johnson. And his question says, Fanatics' new Zero Cool cards and Link Up with V Friends have done a sale using the Dutch auction method. Is this good for the hobby? And what do you think of the product? I am not a fan. All right, I'm going to tackle this as like a two-part question, Ed. So first off, I'm not a big Dutch auction fan. Have I participated in one? Sure have. I think it can be manipulated a little bit easier than your traditional auctions. But listen, traditional auctions aren't foolproof either, right? Why do we think shill bidding is a topic of concern for many, myself included? So no auction is tamper proof per se, but I'm just not a Dutch auction guy. Will I never participate in one? No, I'm not going to go that far. I'm just saying if I'm ranking my auction styles I like, it's not going to be the first one. It's going to be, traditional high bidder kind of gets it, not kind of a conglomerate where all the bids come in and then this many people who bid enough get it. I think that buttons can be pushed there, and I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying it's the potential's there. So I'm not a fan of that auction format. But that being said, you asked me, you mentioned you weren't a fan of the product. I didn't get any of it. Like you pointed out, the email was longer, folks. I didn't read everything, but it looks like little kid drawings, and I have nothing against Gary Vee. Matter of fact, I like Gary Vee. I don't have any issues with Gary Vee. I know he's sort of the poster boy for some hobby hate, but as an influencer, but the blame lies in who follows people's advice blindly or what have you, not in who's really saying it per se. But I don't think Gary Vee's a bad guy. He does well for himself, and some people have trouble with other people's success. I don't count myself as one of those folks. So, Gary drew some kid-like pictures and it gets sold as cards, and people out there bought it. Good for Gary, right? I just didn't help that cause. So I'm not a fan of that product. It was something, when I saw the spec sheet on it, I knew I wouldn't be dabbling in that or owning any. And I've heard a lot of people say that I'm not buying that stuff, much like you did, Ed, and I did. But you know what? There's a lot of people who did. And that's why that product is a success, despite our opinions on such. But, I think as things happen in real world, macro, right, economics, people are going to have, decisions to make where their funds go. And, I think, we were at a time in the hobby, as most know listening to this, that 2 to 3 year span where everything that came out literally was a home run, a hit, selling out, breaks selling out quick. I think we're getting to a point where that's not going to be the case anymore. So now we're going to have to be a little more, when everything's a home run, you don't have to do a lot of thinking. You just got to write, get your PayPal, get your Zelle, your Venmo, and pay for it, then make a profit, and then buy the next product, right? Or the next release or the next item. I think those days are not in the same vein. And so now you really have to weigh out the options to whether or not you think this product's going to be a hit or not a hit. And not everyone will be. Will most of them be? Will a good percentage of them be? Yeah, I still believe that. There's just a lot of new people in the hobby. The hobby is growing, and whether it sustains that growth, that's a topic for another show. But I don't think every product is always going to be a home run anymore like it was before. And so now we have to make those decisions. So we both voted no on V-Friends, but enough other people, I think, voted yes. So, and that's what makes a product a success. So most, pundits will tell you the V-Friends was a hit, just not to me or you or probably a few other people. So there you go, Ed. Thank you for the question. Very thought-provoking and allowed me to provide some insight there. So.
And now, our feature presentation.
This week's topic, liquidity, right? Getting rid of your collection, whatever the case may be. Maybe you inherited a card collection. You don't have an interest in cards. You don't care about cards. How do I get rid of these? How do I not get taken? Maybe you are a card collector and you just don't want to collect cards no more. I've talked about on this show before, picking an age. Hey, when I hit 60, I'm going to sell everything and liquidate it and, have that money either for me to use and enjoy for towards other things, whether that's traveling or whatnot, or leave it to my family, or a combination of both. So whatever the case may be, hey, I'm in the hobby, I'm getting out. Hey, I was left these cards. I don't know where to start. I just know I don't want them, but I also want to get a fair value for what they're worth and not get ripped off. That's where this question from Howard came for this episode. And so it's not going to be a long episode, but we're going to, tackle the options. Now, it's a hard question to answer because it can vary by collection, right? If, dad leaves you, a bunch of Hall of Fame high-grade rookies, right? My answer to that collection is going to be different than 90s junk wax era cards, let's say, right? That's just how it goes. So, if you have a collection where you believe like, hey, I got some serious value here, there's some vintage cards here in great shape or graded high or pretty decent. I think the first thing you think of there, honestly, right, is some of your big auction houses, Golden, Heritage, along those lines. So, if you Google sports card auction houses, your list will come up. I'm not going to be, I know I mentioned two right there, but there's more than those two, and I don't want to just act like they're the only two. Gray Flannel's another one. Different ones will come up. There's a good probably 8 to 10 that have a pretty good reputation, and when you hold those cards, right, you can consign them with whatever auction house you deem worthy, and you can interview them, you can call them, tell them what you got. They can go over all their costs, their commission, and then you get to choose which one you go with. They're your cards, right? So if you have some expensive premium stuff, again, auction houses are a definite option to go in. I think eBay, the world marketplace, is the easy answer, right? You can kind of just list your whatever you have on eBay with a starting bid, run a 7-day auction, 3-day auction, 10-day auction, and the buyer will the market will set the price. If you're not familiar with cards, I would advise you to seek out someone familiar with cards and let them help you list your cards, because wording on eBay auctions can be a huge difference maker. If you leave something out, even though you might have the picture of the card or cards on there, just the way the wording is can set the tone of what that auction might bring. So if you're not comfortable with the wording or how to describe what you have, please seek out advice of someone who can help you with that. You have other selling platforms as well. You got your ComCs, you've got you've got Sport Lots and other, there's new platforms forming all the time. That's more of a waiting game, where eBay, you can run the auction 3, 5, 7, 10 days. The other selling platforms, you got to list it on there. MySlabs is a great selling platform for graded cards, but now they do take raw cards, so that's an option there too. But if you do anything in non-auction format, where you just kind of list the card and wait for someone to buy it outright, you may have to wait longer depending on what price you set. You can offer, with even with eBay and auctions, right? You can have a buy it now price on these other selling platforms. You can have it listed for a price with make offers open too, where someone can maybe make you an offer, and that's for you to decide. Yeah, that's close enough. I'll sell it for that. Remember, there's commissions on these sites. One nice thing about MySlabs, it's only 1%, so that's the number one plus for that platform. eBay's knock is they hit you the hardest with a lot of the commissions and listing prices, and then final sale fees and all that stuff. But you know what? They also get more eyes on your items than anyone else will. I mean, that just goes without saying. They're the cream of the crop when it comes to auction sites as far as that goes. So, you can put an ad in the local paper. You can put an ad on Facebook Marketplace. Just be careful there, right? Anything that has money involved, right? There's a lot of scammers out there. Then you got, with that, if you do like a local marketplace, then someone will come to your house. Some people, don't want people coming to the house. I know my wife here doesn't like me doing deals where people come here because she knows kind of the value that I have. And so generally, if I have anybody over my house here, I know them real well. But other than that, I generally don't. I've met people somewhere like kind of neutral to make a sale or make a buy even. I've met someone neutral. But a tip where if it's a big sale, meeting in the parking lot of a police station or somewhere during the day where it's a busy public area. That way, less chance of something shady going down. That's some advice I could give. But there's plenty of selling platforms. Consigners, right? I talked about eBay. There's also consigners. One of the sponsors of Sports Card Nation, Greg Morris Cards, one of the best consigners in the business. What does that mean? It's your cards are going to be auctioned, right? But they're going to be auctioned under his brand name and his reputation. And he has, in Greg Morris's case, he has quite the following. He's in the top, I think he's number 10 in the top 25 eBay sellers. And he's got quite a following. So anything he lists under his Greg Morris Cards name is going to have more clout behind it than if you or me listed it, quite frankly. So that's something to take in consideration. Now, keep the nice thing with that, they'll do all the work, right? You send them your cards and they list them, but they're also going to take a percentage, right? In addition to the normal eBay fees, they're going to take an additional, percentage. Usually fairly small, but, might be 4, 5, 6%, somewhere in there. I don't know what the percentages are, but they'll do all the work. So it's, less on your mind, but keep in mind, if you ship any of these cards out, either to a buyer, a consigner, an auction house, I can't stress this enough. Please insure that package for the full value of what you think those cards are worth, right? People try to get cheap. It's a $2,000 value package of cards, and they'll insure it for $500, thinking, well, just the fact that it's insured, no one will mess with it, right? And something still happens, right? God forbid that happens, but you're only going to get, and you still got to go through hoops to even get what you get. You're going to fill out paperwork, and there's going to be an investigation. But if you insure $2,000 worth of cards for $500, you're only going to get $500 when you finally get that insurance claim settled. And it's not just, hey, my cards are gone, pay me my money. There's going to be an investigation. They're going to try to track it, find out what happened, all that sort of thing. It could go on for weeks, even I've heard for months. So insure for the full value. You just never know. And I've heard horror stories where people try to save a few bucks on insurance, don't insure for the full value. That product gets taken, lost, crushed, whatever, destroyed, and you still have to, if you sell something for $2,000, insure it for $500, and it gets damaged, destroyed, or lost, you have to give back that person who paid $2,000. If you insured it for $500, yeah, you might get the $500. That $1,500 is coming out of your pocket or bank account. So insure full value. I've heard horror stories. I figured I'd relay that. There's a lot of options from locally, consignment. If they're lesser valued cards, Sport Lots is a great option. A lot of work, to be honest with you, to list there. So that's going to be a time-consuming thing. If you're not familiar with these sites, they can be a little tricky to navigate if you're coming in cold. But again, the hobby is a huge hobby. Reach out to someone, ask for help. There's plenty of people out there that will help you. I consider myself one of them. I gladly will help you. Ask me a question on any of my socials, email me, direct message. I return every correspondence I get. I try to do it in a timely manner, but I've done this before. Over a year ago, I had a lady locally here in Syracuse. Her mom passed away, unfortunately, and left her 2 bond bred Jackie Robinson, 1947 bond breds, pretty nice cards. And, if I was a jerk, I could have probably, she said, I asked her kind of what she wanted, and she told me I wanted $1,000. I think I'd like to get $1,000. And if I was a jerk, I could have coughed up $1,000 and been the new owner of 2 Jackie Robinson bond bred cards. And if you know me, that's my guy. But I'm not like that. I got to sleep at night. So I walked her step by step. I had her send those cards to SGC. They're a sponsor. But it's my favorite grading company besides them being a sponsor. I called, Peter up and told him about this, kind of gave him a heads up. We got those 2, Jackie bond breds. They graded, I think, one was a 3, one was a 4. That's pretty good if you know any history about those bond bred. They're very thin cards. They typically don't grade very high. And then I said, yeah, those cards should go to an auction house, and they wound up going to Golden, and she did very well, was very, very thankful for me helping her out. And so I gladly do that for anyone. I don't want to see anyone get taken advantage if I can help in any way. So plenty of ill repute out there if you're not careful. And so a lot of options. I know I may have left a few out, but, ask questions. If you don't maybe like the answer, or you get a bad vibe from somebody, then ask somebody else, right? Again, I'll reiterate, I'm here for you if need be. I can steer you hopefully in the right direction. And, I hope you're not leaving the hobby, but maybe you've inherited cards and you're just like, hey, I don't want these, I don't need these, but I also want to get my most bang for my buck. My dad, my mom built this collection up over the years, spent their money, hard-earned money. It's only right that we get the best deal for it. I completely understand and get that, and makes all the sense in the world. So plenty of help out there, plenty of different selling platforms, online, even locally. Another thing I didn't mention, right? If you have a card shop in your area, go in there. Maybe a card shop would be interested in a few things. Number one, either buying it outright, or if it's, maybe a lot of money in cards, maybe they'll do a consignment where they'll actually put it, price it, put it in their showcases, and you'll get money as it sells. They'll, again, take a certain percentage. If you go the card shop route, most LCS owners, card shop owners, are decent, do the right thing type people. But it may be a good idea to sort of get a gauge of what your cards are worth. Go to eBay, look at what the same cards have sold, and remember, it's got to be the exact same card. So if it's a PSA 7, you got to look at what PSA 7s have sold for, not, PSA 8 or 5. So kind of, and write that stuff down so you have, a guide to gauge by. And again, a lot of different ways you can go. And again, I'm here to answer any additional questions you may have. So good luck if you're in that boat. That's a wrap for episode 109. I hope I provided some insight for those that may be looking to move some or all of a collection. Again, plenty of options out there. Ask questions. If something gives you a bad vibe, a bad feeling, you don't like what you hear, get a second, third, fourth opinion. Go to someone you trust. You have options even locally if you have a card store or a local marketplace. But you have endless options when it comes to online auction houses, selling platforms, eBays, and that sort of thing. And even, people of the hobby, such as myself, that you can reach out to for more information. Speaking of reaching out, want to thank again Howard for, asking for this episode to be done. Some of these episodes are products of feedback, and I can't stress that enough. Good, bad, or anywhere in between, let us know. If you want to hear a topic that we haven't covered yet, or maybe cover it even a little bit more in-depthly, please let me know. We're like DJs, we do requests, but all joking aside, there's so many different aspects of the hobby. I try to cover as much as possible, but we miss things sometimes. And so if you want something covered, please reach out and I'll gladly do it, especially if I can do it justice. And I hope I did that today. I want to thank everybody out there for listening to Hobby Quick Hits Sports Card Nation. You don't download and listen to the show, we don't exist, and not a day goes by that I take that for granted. And so I thank you sincerely for that fact. So with that being said, we're gonna call it an episode. We'll be back here in a week for another episode of Hobby Quick Hits, and catch us Friday for another episode of Sports Card Nation.